Okay, let's just dive right in, because we've got a question to tackle that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. But it's really not anymore. What on earth happens to our governments, to the way we make rules, when AI finally gets smarter than us?
I mean, think about it. We've all seen AI generate these incredible, mind-blowing images and even compose music. That's amazing for sure. But the real game changer, the leap we are exploring today, is what happens when this very same technology takes on one of the most fundamental human jobs of all, writing the actual rules that we all have to live by.
So, to really get our heads around this, you have to understand that AI isn't just one thing. Nope, it's an evolution. It's a series of stages that are building on each other at a speed that is, frankly, pretty hard to comprehend. All right, so right now we are living in the age of ANI, that's artificial narrow intelligence. This is the AI you know today. It's great at specific tasks, but it's not really thinking for itself. The next stop on this train, probably starting around 2030, is AGI, artificial general intelligence. Now we're talking human-level smarts. But then the curve goes practically vertical, around 2040, with ASI, artificial superintelligence. And this is an intellect so vast, it just blows past the entire collective brainpower of all of humanity combined.
Now, here's where it gets really wild. The biggest revolution here isn't just about having a smarter brain making decisions. It's about completely rewriting what a law even is in the first place. So look at this. On the left, that's our world right now. Laws are just words on paper, right? They're debated for years, and then they have to be enforced by people. But on the right, that's where we're headed. Computational law. And here, laws aren't just ideas anymore. They are lines of code that execute themselves instantly, automatically, across our entire society's infrastructure. 0.1 seconds. Just let that sink in for a moment. In a world run by an ASI, that's how long it could take for a brand new environmental regulation to be written, passed, and implemented in every single factory control system on the planet. The whole endless cycle of debate, bureaucracy, enforcement, it just vanishes.
So you might be wondering, how does this actually work? Well, for starters, laws become self-executing, probably deployed through things like smart contracts. And second, instead of politicians arguing over a bill, an AI could just run millions of simulations, literally showing us the most likely outcomes of any policy over the next 100 years. And third, and this is huge, laws stop being static. They become living things, constantly adapting in real time as new data comes flooding in.
So, naturally, this all leads to the big question, right? If an ASI can handle all the complicated, messy nuts and bolts of running a society, what in the world is left for our parliaments and our legislatures to actually do? What's our new job description?
Let's be really clear about the new division of labor here. The AI's role is purely technical. It's the ultimate logistics and efficiency engine. You give it a goal, and it will calculate the absolute most efficient, data-driven path to get there. It is the master of how.
And that's where we come in. See, our role shifts fundamentally. We stop being the engineers trying to build the machine, and we become the philosophers who give that machine a purpose. We're not writing the complex legal code anymore. We're providing the moral direction. We get to decide why.
And the way we do that is through this new critical concept, the constitutional prompt. Think of it like the mission statement for all of civilization. It's the highest level instruction we give the ASI, where we literally define in code what we mean by a good and just society, or how we want to balance individual freedom with collective security. Crafting this prompt, that becomes the new primary job of our legislatures.
So the whole legislative process looks totally different. Step one, we, as a society, have these deep, meaningful debates about our core values. What do we actually stand for? Step two, the legislature translates that consensus into the constitutional prompt for the AI. Step three, they basically become auditors, constantly monitoring the ASI's results to make sure it's on track. And step four, and this is the most important part, they hold the ethical veto. That's the ultimate kill switch if the ASI's perfectly logical solution turns out to be something we find, morally repulsive.
Now, you can imagine a change this big doesn't just stop at the top. It completely rewires the role of every single citizen and what it even means to live in a democracy.
And this brings us to this fascinating idea called liquid democracy. So forget voting for one person every few years to represent you on literally everything. In this kind of system, you could delegate your vote on healthcare policy to a doctor you trust, and then delegate your vote on climate change to a respected scientist you follow, all while you vote directly on local stuff yourself. It's totally fluid and dynamic.
Your role as a citizen just becomes so much more active. The whole idea of a professional politician might just fade away. Instead, you might have a digital twin, an AI agent that deeply understands your values to represent you in these complex systems. You're giving constant, real-time feedback, not just one vote, and you're using that liquid democracy model to make your voice heard in a much more nuanced and, honestly, more powerful way.
And this table here just brilliantly lays out that entire journey. We start in the ANI stage, that's right now, with humans debating over paper laws. Then we move into the AGI stage, where AI assistants help us draft better, more effective rules. But the final destination, the ASI future, is a total transformation. The main activity is no longer about arguing over the fine print. It's about defining our deepest values and providing that absolutely crucial ethical oversight.
So what does all of this mean when you put it together? It means the job of our most important institutions is about to go through this profound and I think kind of beautiful transformation.
I just love this metaphor. If the day-to-day running of society, all the stuff handled by the ASI, is the muscle, powerful and efficient, then the human legislature becomes the heart. It's not about doing the heavy lifting anymore, it's about providing the will, the passion, the values that drive the entire system forward.
Its new job description is actually pretty simple, but it's immense. To serve as the moral compass for our entire civilization. It just points the way. It sets the direction for this incredibly powerful ASI engine that we've built, and then lets the engine get us there.
And this changes who we even need in public life. The skills required totally shift. It becomes way less about political back and forth and more about deep, serious thinking. The new politics will be the domain of philosophers, of ethicists, even artists who can help us imagine what kind of future we want to build. All of it driven by a constant, deep conversation with the public about who we really want to be.
So, I'll leave you with this one thought. In a future where your job isn't to sweat the small stuff, but to define the big picture, to decide not just what's legal, but what is right, what is the one value you would insist on programming into humanity's core code? What matters most to you?